Midlife removes the buffer that once allowed you to overextend without consequence. The cost of the spin cycle gets louder, and your body starts asking for a different way. You're listening to It's Your Turn with Shari Biery. I'm Shari, a national board certified health and wellness coach, best-selling author, speaker, and creator of the Calm Method. Each week, this show is about taking your turn in midlife, embracing new purpose, new passions, and new possibilities. New episodes drop weekly. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get into it. As a midlife woman, I know you're doing everything. The work, the family, the appointments, those invisible things that nobody sees, but somehow they still need to get done. And I know you are tired. Not the kind of tired that a good night of sleep fixes, though. It's the kind that is there when you wake up, the kind that you know has been building for a while. And most people may look at your life and say you're fine. And part of you probably agrees. But there is this other part, the part that knows something has shifted, that the way you have been living is not working the way it used to, that you are spinning and you cannot quite figure out how to slow it down. Today, we're going to talk about that spin, what it actually is, where it comes from, and why slowing it down is not about doing less. It is about finally understanding what has been driving it. I use a term in my work called the spin cycle. It is that feeling of being in constant motion without ever feeling like you're getting anywhere that matters. You are busy, you're productive, you may be checking things off that list, but at the end of the day, when everything finally gets quiet, you feel empty instead of satisfied. And that may not be the way you describe it, but you might recognize it as waking up feeling already behind, or you're saying yes to something before your mind has even had a chance to say no. It could be carrying everyone else's needs in your head while your own needs don't even appear or they stay at the bottom of the list. There might be feelings of resentful, but you're actually guilty for feeling guilty for feeling that way. And you may be wondering in all of this, like when you feel this way, you're thinking, when will it finally be my turn? If that last one landed somewhere in your chest, stay with me here. In my book, It's Your Turn, I write about something I call the messy web. And this messy web is this tangled web of complexities that it makes it so hard for women to prioritize themselves. And this is the thing, it's not just one thing, it is layered. It's, feeling purpose, it's being adaptable, it's making sacrifices, it's having this shift in identity. It's life transitions. There may be financial pressure. You might be feeling different things of self-worth. And the expectation that is there in all of that is that you get to be everything for everyone. And these threads are all woven together. And when you pull one of them, the other tightens. And I want you to kind of really think of this, the spin cycle and the messy web. You need to understand really these three things. It's not a discipline problem. It's not a time management problem. And is certainly not a willpower problem. What the problem is, it's what I call the disconnection problem. You've been living outside of yourself for so long, following patterns and expectations and ways of living that were never really designed with you in mind. And that somewhere along the way, you really lost the thread back to yourself. And the spin cycle is what happens when a woman keeps going and going without ever stopping to ask what she actually needs. So, most of us were taught that the answer to exhaustion is more effort, more discipline, a better morning routine, a tighter schedule. And for a while, that worked. But here's the thing, midlife changes that equation because hormones shift, your nervous system becomes more sensitive, your tolerance for constant pressure and overextension gets lower, not because you're weaker, but because your body is wiser. Midlife removes the buffer that once allowed you to overextend without consequence. The cost of the spin cycle gets louder, and your body starts asking for a different way. I hear this from women all the time. A woman I was working with recently said something that's really stayed with me. She said, I kept trying to do more. I optimized things. I figured out the right system, and I kept hitting a wall. And she realized once she stopped pushing, trying to push through, and started actually listening to what her body was asking for, things started to shift. And that is the shift I'm talking about, from forcing to listening, from more pressure to a different kind of attention. So, what does slowing the spin actually mean? And I want you to just really think about some of this stuff because it is really, you're working on how you're thinking about all this too. Slowing the spin does not mean doing less. It does not mean quitting your job or leaving your family or dismantling your whole life. It means starting to question the patterns that have been running in the background. The pattern that says your worth is tied to how much you do for others. The pattern that says rest is something you earn, not something you need. The pattern that says everyone else comes first and you'll eventually get your turn. So, thinking about that for a minute, there are patterns, and I'm not saying you have all of them, but which one is really something there for you? Did anything stand out? Slowing this spin really starts with one question. I love to use this question. What is actually mine to carry right now? Not everything on your list there belongs to you. Not every request requires a yes. And not every responsibility that has found its way to you was meant to stay there. When women begin to ask that question honestly, something starts to lift. Not all at once, it's really slowly. It's one small decision at a time. But the spin begins to slow. And in that space, something becomes possible that was not possible before. Clarity, steadiness. It's the beginning of coming back to yourself. So before you go, I want to leave you with something to really think about this week. It's not a task. It's not a homework assignment. It's just one question. Where in your life right now are you spinning the hardest? And by that, I don't mean the busiest. I mean the hardest, the place where the effort feels really at the highest and the return feels the lowest. It may be the place where you've been pushing through the longest without stopping to ask why. You don't have to solve this today. This is really about noticing it. And that noticing is where everything can begin. So, if this episode really resonated with you, share it with the woman in your life that you know needs to hear this too. That's how this podcast will grow. One woman telling another that there is space where they can finally talk about this stuff honestly. And there's a few things for you. If you want to understand where you are in this season, what your body and energy actually need right now, you can take the free Midlife Spark Type quiz at sharibiery.com/quiz. It's 10 questions. They're actually fun questions. It takes about 3 minutes and it'll point you towards a clear next step for you. The link is always in the show notes. And each of these episodes drop weekly. So thanks for spending time with me today. I want you to really remember, until next time, keep taking your turn.